Hi everyone, Sean here from the Sci-Fi Model Guy, and welcome to Chapter 4 of the NX-1017, or the Constellation B, or whatever we're going to end up calling this thing. Essentially, though, guys, this is a refit or a redesign, retooling of the Ambassador class, the Enterprise C from AMT. It's a 1400 scale ship, and I'm having a lot of fun. So we're going to hold it up here. Now, I did put a community post up recently, and this is kind of what she looks like right now. These are the warp struts that I've just taped them on there, you guys. This isn't permanent yet. All this green stuff is just tape holding the ship together so I can kind of take a look at it and how she's looking. I'm really happy with this. This very much like the Enterprise A or the refit style going on here. It's a little bit sleeker, I think, a little bit more swooped down and not straight up like they are, or it's at a lower angle. I'm really happy with how this is looking. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about here, which we're talking about in this video, is the decision I made to smooth out the hull and smooth out all of the grid lines that are on here. So I'm going to hold up the saucer section from the regular Enterprise kit, and you can see here all of these things. They're like panels, but these are all grooves dug into the model. You know, like I can go in there, and you could paint these individually if you want, but I didn't want them in there. There's just so much of this detail. I didn't want this to look like the Enterprise C so much. So I made the decision to fill these in. Couple rounds of CA glue and baking soda, lots of sanding, a trial and error. I think I went over that in the last video. You want to definitely, if you're going to do this, use a very low grit sandpaper and just take your time. The CA glue takes a long time to sand down. And then what you're going to want to do is, like here, we put a lot of bits of putty to fill in some of the lines that just wouldn't go away. Sanded them down, put more putty and the drill, and then a lot of coats. I think 5-6 coats of filler primer. And in between those, sanded them down, and then did a final couple and gave it a good sanding. And I'm telling you guys, this is smooth as silk right here. There is not one grid line showing on this. It came out really nice. Now, I did leave the detail here on the top of the saucer, and super happy with it. So I'm going to cut in some phaser arrays and do some cool stuff with that, and as well as the main hull of the ship. So I'm going to hold this up. You can see the windows here, which we'll talk about in this video, and then we'll figure out a way to get these struts down there. Now, these struts here, I just cut these out of this black styrene here. They're just some thick pieces. I didn't record that process, you guys. Hopefully you know how to cut the styrene. You just get a straight edge and you cut them through. After that, I just taped these guys together and sanded them down. We'll talk all about that in the next video in Chapter 5. So for now, just sit back and relax on this video, guys. Really sorry it's taken me a while to upload. Just kind of life got in the way and been really busy. But I hope to get more on schedule here. So going to be headed out of town for a few days. And then when we get back by next week, hopefully we'll get another video up and get back on schedule. Anyway, thank you guys so much for popping in. Hit that like and subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you down the road. Take care. Well, everyone, okay, I've done pretty much as I can here. Now, what you see before you is a very multicolored array of pieces here. So want to start out by saying I did go through 2 separate rounds of applying the baking soda and the CA glue on the ship. I did learn quite a bit by doing that. The first and most important thing I learned is when sanding this down, it's very important that you use not a very coarse grit sandpaper. It's going to take a long time. That mixture of the CA glue and the baking soda becomes a very hard substance. So the thing is, though, if you use a really coarse grit sandpaper, it will chip away all the stuff that you're trying to leave. So it'll take off too much, basically. So you have to go very slow and steady and then get it smooth. Now, even after doing that, after learning that, I did find some lines in here. So you can kind of see them here on the upper part of the saucer section. Now, this part in red, that you'll see these lines. Now, the reason it's red is because I use the red Bondo spot putty, which is this stuff right here. It's glazing, Bondo glazing and spot putty. We've talked about that quite a bit. And used various techniques. I did try a playing card, you know, to try to get it in there and smooth it in. That kind of worked, but this was a little bit too flimsy. What I opted doing at the end for this part was just putting on a glove. It's very important to wear gloves when you deal with the stuff. This stuff is very toxic. You know, you don't want to get it on your skin. So I put it on a glove, and I would put a little dab of the putty and just rub it in really good with my finger with the glove there, and it would get it into the groove. Let it dry. These ones I let dry overnight, but you can technically wait about 20 minutes and you can sand this stuff, but I wanted it to get really good. So I put an application on, and then I noticed when it dried, of course, it shrinks and cracks. So there was a few things left over. So I went and put a second coat over the spots that cracked off, and I ended up with what I think should be the elimination of these lines. I can still feel them a little bit right here. I'm hoping that the filler primer will take care of some of that. I'm going to put several coats of filler primer on here and really build this up. That should eliminate it. I can barely feel it, but the filler primer is pretty thick stuff. But eventually, at some point, I have to keep moving on with the model. I've done so much work on this. The secondary hull here did come out pretty good. There's a few little rough spots here. I still need to sand. I might end up just doing a little paint with the primer and then putty that maybe, because it's kind of feels kind of like a divot there. Other than that, though, it looks like there's a lot of putty left on here, but it's extremely smooth. So again, the trick is sand slowly. You want to go very slow. You don't want to rush the sanding process to remove the putty or the CA glue. Okay, so we'll put these to the side. So here's what both secondary hull pieces look like. They're pretty smooth. One thing I've noticed when I put these together is that the connection down here is going to be pretty rough. So I'm going to have to fill that gap with some good, solid work and putty and all that stuff to get this seam line to disappear. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to assemble this thing on the fly like this. I apologize, because some of the tabs got sanded off. So I'm going to have to glue that and hold it, and then we'll do some putty work, CA glue to fill the gap and get that situated. But I really like it. It's going to look super nice when the primer's on. It looks crazy now, almost like a patina, you know, like when you've sanded a car down, which is kind of cool. Here's the bottom part of the saucer section here. This came out really nice. I don't feel any grooves here, any of those lines. It's very, very smooth. You can see here kind of like where that putty got into the line. So when you see a red grid line like that, that's good. That tells me that that's been filled in. And again, I do feel a little bit here on the front, just slightly, but again, filler primer should take care of that. And then last but not least, let's go to the warp nacelles. Now this one has been primed already, and it's about as good as I can get it. It's a little bumpy in a couple spots, but I'm going to have to just live with that. It's really not, you can't really tell. You can feel it, but it's not chunky or anything. This one here is kind of got that patina look like we were talking before. Now you can see here these little white rectangles. Those are pieces of styrene that I laid down in there to kind of help fill the gap in there, and that turned out to work pretty good. It allowed me to use a little less CA glue than otherwise I would have. Probably should have cut these a little smaller and laid them down in layers, a couple of layers of them, but overall it worked really good. And I think there was a section that we recorded where I put some tape on the outside, and then we put CA glue in there, and the tape kind of helped contain the CA glue in there, and then I was able to sand that down and get a nice curve. So these are going to look really nice, nice and smooth, especially compared to the original model. It's got those ribs here and all these things. I wanted this nice smooth nacelle. I wanted it to look really sleek. And of course we can paint some details on it with different color paints. We can mask some things on there and give it some cool look on it that way. But yeah, other than all that stuff, now I'm still wondering how the heck I'm going to put the warp struts in there, the things coming out. So I'm going to have to, drill a hole through here or carve out some area there, carve deep in there, and make sure it's at the same angle as the other side so I can get nice, even nacelles. Probably end up using quite a bit of CA glue to hold that steady. I'm imagining inside is going to be like rock solid with CA glue. Again, I'm still going to have to figure that out. So if anyone has any ideas or comments on how I can do that, please drop them in there and I will take a look. Or if you have videos that you could point me to that might help me, I know I'll figure it out, but this is one of those things that I might need to get a little bit of help to figure it out. Most of the time, I'm kind of stubborn that way. Like here I am teaching you guys or showing you all what I'm learning and what I'm doing, but I like to try to figure stuff out on my own. I just feel I personally learn a little better like that sometimes. Other times, definitely need some help, so I'm not against that. Anyway, okay, so that is it. So again, we'll recap what the lessons learned here are: slow and steady, light grit sandpaper. You're going to have a lot of patience, maybe do a couple of rounds. And then the same with the putty. You put a glove on, wear it, and really smear that in there. And then when you sand the putty, also very light, start very light grit sandpaper and very smooth sanding techniques. You don't want to really dig in there because you'll just chip away the stuff that you want to leave. So, all right, now I am going to be going over to the other side of the garage here to paint this stuff. Hopefully I won't have to open the door because it's below 30 up there right now and it's cold. And but anyway, really excited to finally, hopefully, be past this part and get to the proper lighting and building and all that stuff, cutting in a few of the windows that we want to do here and maybe on the bridge, and that's going to be it. We might do a couple down here, just kind of like mimicking the original Enterprise as far as the number of lights. Okay, everybody, see you very soon. All right, everyone, we have made so much progress and there is a lot to talk about, but I will try to be brief. So laid out before our eyes are a bunch of tools and pieces of the model. And we're going to talk about, so what I've been doing the past day and a half or so is just cutting out windows. And I want to just kind of talk about my process there. So the first thing I will disclose is I am not a very good rectangle window cutter. So let's just say that out loud and come to grips with it because I just am not. Now, this big window here that we cut in on both sides of the secondary hull or the engineering section, these came out pretty nice. But, it's a little easier to do with the bigger they are. When they're smaller, it gets to be difficult. So I'm going to point out right here, these windows here. Now, I don't know how good they're showing up on screen or on camera. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. And we'll hold them up there. You can see they are roughly rectangular. When we hold the light behind them, we do see some roughly rectangular patches. Now, you're going to see a lot of white here because, I scraped the paint around. So we'll be light blocking all that, of course. So anyway, the approach here that I took, I was starting to cut these rectangular windows out. Some of them came out pretty good. Some of them not so much. Some of them are a little misaligned. You see here, these three here, they go up, and this one maybe dips down a little bit. I'm really not proud of it. Not my best work. If we're being completely candid, which we always try to be here on these segments. So yeah, they didn't come out as well as I had hoped. This side here was a little bit more. I ended up actually filling a few in. So I'm going with fewer windows on this side. That's no problem. I'll just probably be displaying this on a different side anyway. There are enough windows here. I could also drill a couple more holes. So what I ended up doing for the most part, I did do some rectangular holes here in the neck. And then I just said, forget it. I'm going to just drill just little round holes throughout the rest of the hull, and I think that was a better choice. These should add some cool, interesting things. We're going to cover them with the window stuff and make them, like look like glasses there, and it should look okay. So here we go. Here's the other windows, and these come out looking just fine. Now I didn't do too many. When all is said and done, I might even put some black dots in here to represent some windows that are not lit. I don't know. Still have to think about that. Or even if I can put some paint on these to cover a couple of them, maybe we'll do that. But I didn't go nuts with it. It's just enough. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 decks. It looks like, so yeah, 4 decks of windows there, and the same here. I tried to kind of make it equal. But one thing I've thought about, like especially with the original series, the Enterprise from both sides had the same windows lit up, and I think that was just a restriction on that time era. But for now, I've just kind of made them a little bit different on each side, and that's how I think it really would be. You wouldn't have total symmetry in the ship. Anyway, so I will talk a little bit about how I made these. Now, I got better as I was going along, and I'm sure if I practiced more on this, I would become very talented at it and very good. But that's going to be a ways coming, and I'm going to have to probably just get some styrene and practice until I get this down. I have watched a couple of videos, and everyone seems to have their own technique. So we'll tell you what we did here. So this is a cool tool. I forget what it's called, but it's like well, here's the name brand if you want to look it up. It's called Nuofan. I think I got it on Amazon, and it's basically kind of like a filer. It's got the sharp edge here, and you can make incisions and cuts with it. It's very sharp here, and this is kind of like a file. Now, it does come with several sizes of hole punches or stuff. What I don't even, I apologize for not remembering the name of this tool, but you can see here there are a few different sizes here. Some are thicker than others, and the one I have on the tool right now is the thickest one that came with it. And there's this little nut right there, and that's what holds in the thing into there. It comes with an extra, and there. You screw it in right there, and there is an Allen wrench included in this kit, which is right here, and that lets you just take these things out and switch them out. And it's a nice tool. So what I would do here, so basically the technique I used, if you're interested, is let's zoom in a little bit more. Okay. Started off with the pin vise, our trusty pin vise, which is an invaluable tool. I used this for all of the windows on the ship, and the benefit of this is even though you end up hurting your fingers and you get tired and it takes a long time, you don't get any of that melted plastic effect like you do with a Dremel tool. It does take a lot longer, but you can be a lot more accurate, and you don't get the plastic melty problem. So there's that. So basically what I would do, and I should have recorded one of these, but I didn't. So I took some tape, first of all, to get these in a line. I just took some of this frog tape here, and I started by laying out, a straight line, making sure it was as straight as I can. Then I took a marker and just kind of went where I wanted these windows to be. Just basic, and you can kind of see some of this purple sitting around on the piece. So did that, and then just took the pin vise, drilled one hole on one side of the window, one hole on the other. Then we took the X-Acto knife here, and we would just kind of cut it through very slowly, get it through there, and so it punched through. And you kind of get a feel for it. It's almost a sawing action, or you can rock it back and forth a little bit, and this make sure you have a nice new blade, and it should cut through without too much problem. Now it's not perfect, and so once you get that done, that's when I would come through with this. And this is the thick one. Where's my camera there? There it is. So this is the thicker thing, and this edge right here that you see is where you punch down. So this part here will go against the side of the window like this. So I'm going to tilt it down, and I would just basically pop it right there, and it would get a nice straight edge. So you can see here that it's poked in. Hopefully it's focusing. Sorry if it's not. So see how it's in there, but this part here is flat, and so you get roughly the nice 90-degree angles, or at least close to them, that you're looking for. And then after that, you can take your X-Acto knife and chip away at some of the flash that comes out, file it down a little bit, and just kind of work your way through them. Now, the thing is, though, guys, we're all human, right? And we're going to make little mistakes. We're going to be off a little bit. We're going to be off this much. And the more you try to correct these things, the bigger the windows get. So it's really a tough technique, and you're going to have to make a decision on how good you want to get at doing that. I like I said, I would have to practice a very, very long time to get very good at this. And maybe one day I will, but for now, I'm just going to stick with these little drilled holes. So these are, again, same technique. We took the pin vise and I put some tape down, roughly marked out some patterns, and just drilled. And some of them are groups of 2, some of them are groups of 3, sometimes there's a single one. I just kind of randomized it as I went. Now, I did make sure not to put any windows back here, because this is going to be where our warp nacelle struts are going to come out of here. So I stopped the windows there. And right here, I've got some cool plans for the big window. I'm going to basically build a little styrene backing for that and make it blue. I want it kind of blue light like we see on the Enterprise refit, with those windows have like a bluish look. And I'll put some frames in there, and well, maybe make it look like it's a little room in there. Too bad we can't get tiny people to put in there. 1400 scale people. It would be very tiny. Anyway, so there it is. There's a secondary hull so far. Now, I will say this, the gluing this together is going to be hard because when I was doing all the sanding and stuff like that, I nicked off some of the tabs that kind of fit in there. So that's going to be a mighty pleasure. You can see here that the front of the neck is just not really pretty. So we're going to have to do a lot of glue and a lot of putty work and do that. And I'm afraid I might have to construct some. I'm thinking about constructing like a little photon torpedo array to go up here, because it's all messed up pretty good. So I'll think on that and think about what to do. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the secondary hull. Now let's move on to the saucer section. So we're going to move all of our tools out of the way here, and my flashlight and my marker and all of that. So we'll start with the bottom part of the saucer section. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to bring out my cool little light table thing that I've made. Now, so I've shown this off a number of videos ago, so some of you who might be new may not know what this is. So I just basically took some clear plexiglass, cut it up, put another piece underneath it here of styrene, and glued two strips of LED lighting on there, and just, made sure that there's some room in between here. So you got a little bit of room so these guys aren't sandwiched on there, and hooked up the wires and put long wires over here to go to my power supply. And it makes a nice little flat light table. So I'm going to turn it on, and well, if you take it off here, you'll see that it illuminates really nicely. And when we put a piece on there, we get a nice way to check our lights and stuff. So you can check for light leaks, you can check for light spots and stuff like that. We'll try it here on this one. Now you can see here, you can see that this needs a lot of light blocking, you guys, because I didn't put any black over this or anything. So there, and you can even see the old panel lines that are kind of coming through there. It is smooth, but it's coming through because we haven't light blocked it. So this is a neat little light table to put. So very easy to build, and I recommend you do one. It's pretty handy. Anyway, so here on the bottom, I just did just random windows. Tried to make this one a little bit circular, and then kind of peppered them around as we went out. It's just mainly for effect. It does look pretty cool staring at it in the dark. And then we'll put the top of the saucer on. Now, the top of the saucer, I went very minimalistic. You can see here most of the lights on here. Well, all of this is all smooth, but we put a number of lights on the bridge. I really thought that would be cool to highlight just the bridge. So I really took my time and drilled out all of the windows there that you see, and that's coming through really good. I still need to light block it on the inside, but we put so much primer on this, you guys, that it's pretty much light blocking it for us. There's still some spots, so we're going to get it all light blocked. And you can see here, you know, on the sides, we got some nice windows there, and it's looking pretty sharp. And I think that's going to make this ship really pop, where there's not all this noise and stuff going on around the top of the saucer section, and all of the concentration is going to be on the bridge section, the ABC deck there. So let's talk a little bit about the side there. Let's try to show you this way. That's probably not going to work. I'm going to use a flashlight here. We'll turn that off so we don't blind you. And we're going to go here with the side. So you can see here, I just kind of, again, randomly sets of 3 and 4 windows just drilled through. And all the way around the perimeter, a little bit of a random effect there. I tried to keep them away from the exact sides here because they're, again, these are nav lights are going to be here, so we don't want to obstruct. We don't want any blinking or anything getting through these guys. So there's that. Turn on the light. So yeah, it really is coming out good. Now I can still kind of feel some of those ridges, you guys. It would take a lot more sanding and a lot more primer and stuff. It's a tremendous task, let me tell you, to fill the panel lines on this thing. Not so sure I would do this again, but I'm glad I'm doing it this once. But I don't know if I would make a habit of it. But if you're inclined, I think it's going to come out so good. And you know, we're going to put more paint on here and sand it more and put a gloss coat, so it should still smooth out even more. But it's really hard to see unless you're feeling around for it. And, you know, we're going to have decals and stuff like that. So that's it for the update on the ship where we are. We've got the nacelles here. I went ahead and light blocked them inside and out. They're perfectly fine. There's no light popping through here at all, except for maybe the edges, like we always get it, where things curve and where there is ridges and things like that. But maybe another coat of black should do it just fine. And these came out really nice, you guys. So you can see here, these are the nacelles that we've covered in the CA glue and sanded them down and smoothed it out. I want nice sleek engines here. And it's hard for you to see because they're black, but they really came out super nice. I'm really happy with this. So what's next? Well, what's next, you guys, is a lot more work. We're going to be building the nacelle struts. So I'm going to be right back and I'm going to show you what my plan is with that. So stand by. We're going to continue the video in a second. Okay, back again, everyone. So what we have in front of us here are the nacelle struts, basically, that came with the ship, you know, that U-shaped looking thing. And right here you can see these creases, these lines, and you can see that they're a little bent. Now I did attempt to straighten them using boiling water. You know, you dip them in there and then you can kind of fold these things. I really wasn't too enthusiastic about how it looked, but I kind of wanted to save them, and if I could use these, I was going to, because they've got some nice texturing on here. With these little bumps and stuff, and it's kind of interesting. But anyway, I realized even if I had gotten these to be perfectly flat, what I didn't think about was that they're uneven. So, and by what I mean by that is I have to find two that match. Okay, so these guys here were originally bent up, but when you straighten them, one is going to be a little longer than the other one. So we can see here, well, maybe you can't, but this one here is a little bit shorter than that. So they didn't evenly line up, which was a problem. And you kind of need that to get that, this bit here to lock into the nacelle, because they've got these little nudges, these little notches in there, which are really nice for for holding the nacelle in place. So can't use them, which is a bummer. Now, so we're going to have to fashion these. I haven't thrown these out yet. I'm going to have to, make some, we're going to make struts, basically, is where I'm getting to. And we're going to have to, you do these notches and test fit them and stuff like that, and figure that all out. So we'll put these to the side. Now, let's talk about making these things. So I've got here several different types of polystyrene sheets that I bought at Hobbytown. You can see here the price is about $7.65 for there, $7.65, $6.59. So they're like $6-7. Here's one that was $4.89. And I just went and I got some varying thicknesses and different textures on there. So you can see here, this is like a side paneling, like for aluminum siding maybe, type of effect. This one is a very much thinner. You can see there's a texture. There's these nice lines on here. So that will add some depth to it. This here is just a thick black styrene that we can use for building them for sturdiness. Now these might be a little too thick now that I'm thinking of it, because, well, maybe not. So this is about the same thickness. So yeah, it looks like we should be okay. So this here is about the thickness of one of these, and two of them come together to make the strut. So we're gonna have to make two sides of these so that the wires can go in there. And so these here will be the base of that. I might have to pick up another one, but maybe we can. I think I could fit 4. So we need 4 total basic shapes out of here for both nacelles. So 2 for each side. So there's the basis of it. And then there's this nice little one here that's got a grid pattern that we can maybe use there. So I'm going to design them. Probably going to draw them out. Just draw some cool designs. Just put some science fiction-y panel stuff on the side, like you would see. None of it makes much sense, but it looks cool. So this will probably be, the basic shapes. I'm going to draw them out and cut them and sand them down, make sure that they're all equal, and we'll get the basic shapes. And then what we can do is take some of this stuff and lay it on here on one side of these things to give it some texture and some detail, and we'll come up with some neat designs for that. I'm definitely going to use this one. This is a really cool texture, and I'm thinking maybe paint it like a dark rubber or black to go up the side. Anyway, yeah, I'm already just thinking out loud here. So anyway, so that's going to be a process. I've never done it before, but I'm sure they will come out to be looking pretty neat. So, all right, folks. Well, that's it for the old NX-1017, the Constellation, for now. So I'm going to get to work on the struts here. I'll draw out some designs, maybe cut some out of paper and just do it at different angles. Then everybody, the challenge here is going to be, of course, getting those things inserted into the hull. So I'm going to have to cut 2 new holes. To cut some holes into the hull somehow, maybe right out of here, but I know like probably coming out from the top here. So we have to cut some similar holes like here and make sure they're perfectly aligned with each other, absolutely equal, and the equal width. And then also we have to make it tight enough so when we put these things down there, they'll kind of hold on their own. So I'm going to have to figure that out because this is pretty hollow. We do have an insert piece that does go in here, so that will help. It's going to end up being made, probably, I might end up even trying resin to hold these in, like epoxy resin, to hold the nacelle struts in place there, because it's really going to be a challenge. But it is a challenge I welcome, and it's a challenge that's going to be well worth it. I'm going to learn a lot, and we're going to end up with a really cool looking ship. So, all right. Well, that's it for this section of the video. If this is the end of this particular video, we'll see you in a while. And if it's the end of this section for now, we'll see you in a minute. I don't know which, but we will be back at some point.